The AP will do it wrong, so we're here to do it right. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert here with our Week 10 GE Top 25 poll. The season just flying by. Guys, this Saturday is going to mark the beginning of November. We are in the home stretch of this college football season. Things are about to get crazy. Things were crazy in Week 9. You know, we told you, Week 8 was phenomenal. Week 9 only had a handful of ranked versus ranked matchups, but there was still going to be plenty of chaos. That's exactly what we got. And while there weren't any crazy changes in our rankings heading into this week, still enough to warrant a big discussion and will warrant a lot of disagreement among you guys in the comments. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Week 10, you take a look at our top 25 here at the Gridiron Expert, strictly from us, nobody else. Our top 6 remains the same, and I think it should. You could make a case for Ole Miss maybe being above Oregon, but I really think that's about it. You know, Ohio State, I think, is the number 1 team in the country right now until proven otherwise, and they might not get proven otherwise, at least in the regular season. Michigan, maybe in the season finale. They got Penn State this weekend, obviously not a game that's going to be as exciting or be as, looked at as closely as we thought it would be back in the preseason, but still something to watch out for. Indiana, number 2, after a 50-point beat down over UCLA. I mean, that's a BTA game if I've ever seen one. If you know, you know. Texas A&M making a massive statement. Again, I can't put them above Indiana. I can't put them above Ohio State, obviously. But what A&M did on Saturday night in Death Valley, winning by 24 points, enough to get Brian Kelly fired, right? I mean, and I think we all knew that was coming. We all knew that was coming. When LSU looked that bad and got beat that bad at home, at night, as a top 20 team, a week after losing on the road to Vanderbilt, who's a dang good football team. I mean, it's just unacceptable by LSU standards. A&M really was the real deal. That was the game that I thought was like the trap game. You know, A&M, they barely got by Arkansas. They kind of barely got by Auburn. They barely got by Notre Dame. Felt like they're just getting by. And this felt like the game, if they were going to slip up, it would be in Death Valley against the LSU team that does have talent, just hadn't played to their potential. And A&M didn't slip up. LSU proved themselves to be very fraudulent. I will tell you right now, LSU obviously is not ranked in our top 25 this week. And there's a very good chance the Tigers could end up finishing maybe at best 7-5. They're still going to play Alabama on the road. They're still going to play Oklahoma on the road. 7 wins might be their max. And that's if they can get past Arkansas, who is not good, but at least hangs with teams, has a pretty dang good offense. Besides the point, LSU could go 7-5. A&M could win the whole dang thing. That's how good the Aggies are. And that performance Saturday night proved a lot. So they stay at number 3 for us. Alabama survived South Carolina. This team, I'll be very interested to see if they make the college football playoff. It's not a lock by any means yet. But if Alabama does make the playoff, I will be interested to see how they fare, because this Alabama team under Kalen DeBoer plays so great at home, but they play so poorly on the road. It's mind-boggling to me how dominant they are at home and how weak they are on the road. They're finding ways to win. They beat Georgia on the road. Congrats. They beat South Carolina on the road. Congrats. Only winning by 7, where South Carolina let Alabama score, sure. Regardless, it was a concerning performance from a Crimson Tide team that was nearly a 2-touchdown favorite. They got the win, though. That's all that matters. The playoff hopes stay alive. And they get the bye week. They get LSU. Got to play Auburn in the Iron Bowl, but pretty much got Oklahoma in there as well. But I wouldn't say cakewalk, but they should be favored in every game down the stretch. And with only 1 loss on their resume, they could probably afford 1 more and still make the 12-team field. But playing maybe at a neutral site in the playoff, that's what's going to be very interesting to me for Alabama going forward. Home, great. Road, not so great. Neutral site remains to be seen. And if you want to win it all, got to win at a neutral site. Georgia remains at number 5. They had a bye week. We got the cocktail party this Saturday. That's going to be a fun one. We'll touch on that tomorrow. Georgia, Florida, with our Week 10 predictions. Oregon gets by Wisconsin. A mediocre performance, lackluster performance, 32-point favorites, only win 21-7. But, Oregon did enough to get the job done. They didn't have to be flashy. They didn't have to be dominant. They did what they needed to do to get in, get out with a win. They got it. I don't think they deserve to drop for that performance. Still a very dang good football team. Ole Miss, we got rising 3 spots. So you'll see in our top 10, I dropped Georgia Tech 2 spots. I dropped Miami 2 spots. And it's not because those 2 teams did anything wrong. Georgia Tech crushed Syracuse. Miami crushed Stanford. Both 2 elite teams. Both teams will more than likely make the college football playoff. It's just because the fact that Ole Miss went on the road and beat a top 15 team by 8 points. And Vanderbilt continues to roll. They beat LSU 2 weeks ago, just beat Missouri by 7. Both those wins were better than a win over Syracuse and a win over Stanford, right? So they deserve to be rewarded for that. So I move Ole Miss up 3 spots with a very impressive win. You could argue that they shouldn't have lost to Georgia either. I mean, they blew a 9-point lead. The Ole Miss team is the real deal and pretty much locked up their playoff spot because their schedule the rest of the way is just pitiful. I mean, Ole Miss, if they missed the playoff, it would be one of the biggest choke jobs we've ever seen. But I don't envision that happening. Vanderbilt, obviously the win over Missouri, deserves a lot of praise. So 7 for Ole Miss, 8 for Vanderbilt, 9 for Georgia Tech. Again, dropping 2 spots. Again, not because they did anything bad, anything wrong. Same for Miami. Did nothing bad, nothing wrong, just because the teams that in Ole Miss and Vanderbilt deserve a little bit more praise. Those wins a little bit more impressive, deserve to be rewarded. Because if I hadn't done that, I would have kept Vanderbilt number 9. I don't think Vanderbilt deserved to stay at number 9. They deserve to get rewarded and deserve to move up at least 1 spot for what they've done these last couple of weeks and what they did this last week against Missouri. So that's our top 10. Any way you slice it, these top 10s I don't think can be disputed. You could argue BYU should be in the top 10, and that leads us into our next segment. We got BYU at number 11. I've got nothing against the Cougars at all. They very well could win the Big 12. We are in a part of the season now very similar to last year where BYU finds themselves in the playoff mix, but they've got a tough schedule coming up. Will they be able to get into that 12-team field? Will they get to the Big 12 championship, or will they falter down the stretch against some of the tougher teams they've got to face over the final month of the season? But the Cougars did just go on the road to Iowa State, got down early, tie game entering the fourth quarter, and they prevailed, winning 41-24. Their defense coming up big in the final 15 minutes. So BYU, absolutely the real deal and deserving of their 11th ranked spot. You could argue top 10, but I could not put them in there right now because really we didn't see anybody in the top 10 go down. There was nothing that happened in the top 10, result from the top 10, that justified me dropping somebody out of our top 10 from last week, if that makes sense. There was nothing anybody did there that made me think, okay, I need to bring them out. So BYU up to number 11. Notre Dame down a spot. I put BYU above Notre Dame. Last week I had them flip. This week I've got them above it. I said they were interchangeable. That's exactly what happened now. Notre Dame on a bye. BYU, big road win. They go up. Texas Tech up a spot because of their win over Oklahoma State, shutting them out 42-0. Louisville, Tennessee, Cincinnati, some big risers there because of the teams that did lose ahead of them, namely Oklahoma, and I believe LSU was below them. So Oklahoma, obviously losing, opened up a window for some of those teams to make a climb up. Louisville was one of them, beating Boston College by 14. The Cardinals' only loss came in overtime to Virginia, who has not looked all that great, but the Cardinals are the real deal. The ACC is going to be a fun conference to watch over the final month of the season. Keep an eye on that. Because right now, Miami would not be in the ACC championship. That's how good this conference has been. I think the ACC championship right now would be, Georgia Tech and Virginia. So Georgia Tech's in the mix. Virginia's in the mix. Miami's in the mix. Louisville's in the mix. I mean, this is a very intriguing conference race over the final few weeks of the season. Keep an eye on it. But the Cardinals are up 3. Tennessee's up 3 following their win over Kentucky, beating them 56-34. Cincinnati, been very impressed with them. They've won, 7 straight games? They lose a heartbreaker in the final seconds to Nebraska. We're driving with a chance to tie it, send it to overtime instead through a pick. They've won every game since then. So 1 possession loss to Nebraska at a neutral site in week 1. The Bearcats have won every game since. They deserve a good ranking. They deserve, I think, to be in our top 16. They just beat Baylor by 21 points. Some of these games from Cincinnati haven't even been close. And I believe right now, if the season ended today, the Big 12 championship with a spot in the playoff on the line would be between BYU and Cincinnati, just like we all predicted back in the preseason. So keep an eye on the Bearcats. They've got some tough tests coming up. Big one this weekend against Utah, which we will be predicting for you here in a few days. Tons of content coming out on that, again, just in a few days. But Scott Satterfield's done a phenomenal job with a team that, I thought would probably just be fortunate to get to a bowl game. 6-7 wins might be their best, their best mark. And here they are already at 7 wins, and they've got their eyes set on a conference title, which is absolutely awesome. Virginia, I think, could be fraudulent. They beat Louisville thanks to some mistakes by the Cardinals and their defense coming through clutch. Still had to go to overtime to win that. They narrowly escaped Washington State. Lucky that Washington State made a special teams error, and then Virginia capitalized on that with a safety to win. And then North Carolina, they only won 17-16, and that was in overtime. And North Carolina's 2-point conversion attempt barely fell short. So I'm not sold on Virginia. I've got them at 17th, but I've dropped them 2 spots. I've not risen them in the rankings like I typically would because I'm just not sure this team has it in them. They're finding ways to win games. Good teams find a way to win. But is this a top 15 team in the country? Are they a top 12 team in the country? Right now, I say no. Got them at 17. Still got a lot to prove over this last month of the season. But the schedule really isn't all that bad. So Virginia's a very interesting team to watch out for. They're finding ways to win, but I'll be curious to see what the committee thinks about that and if their luck runs out at some point in the month of November. Houston. I ranked Houston last week. I ranked Houston. I had them at 25th. I barely had them in our top 25. Because Willie Fritz was doing a good job with this team. Already had them bowl eligible. Then they go on the road to Arizona State. A game that had massive Big 12 standing implications. And what does Houston do? The Cougars were leading 24-0 in the fourth quarter before Arizona State made their mini rally to make it 24-16. But Houston led 24-0 on the road against Arizona State, the same Arizona State team that handed Texas Tech their only loss of the season so far. So this Houston team's for real. Willie Fritz has got this defense playing at a very high level. He's got the offense way better than they were last year. And Houston is a legitimate Big 12 title contender. So every conference right now is really, really intriguing when it comes to their standings and their conference title races. The SEC is wide open. The Big Ten, you've got Ohio. I mean, the number one, number two teams in the country are both in the Big Ten on a collision course to meet the Big Ten championship, but Oregon's sitting back there waiting for one of them to slip up. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. But the Big 12, BYU, Cincinnati, okay, and then Houston, again, just like we all predicted. Love what Willie Fritz has done with this program. Love what Houston is doing. They've got some tough games the rest of the way, but they are very much in the mix for a Big 12 championship appearance. And as we know, if you make the championship game, you're a win away from making the college football playoff. Watch out for the Cougars. Would love to see even Houston and BYU in the Big 12 championship. The Cougar Bowl, that'd be fun. Oklahoma down 6 spots following their loss to Ole Miss. The Sooners not looking good. Get blown out by Texas. Bounced back against a bad South Carolina team. And then did not look that great against Ole Miss. I know they led, and then they allowed like the final 9 points. I get it. But the Sooners at home had to win that game. They didn't look all that great. The offense has not looked as good as it has been or should be since the John Mateer injury. Now they enter a brutal final stretch of the season, one where they're going to pretty much have to win out if they want to make the college football playoff, and was games against Tennessee and Alabama and LSU, which maybe isn't as daunting anymore. I'm not sure the Sooners can do that. So big game against Tennessee this weekend, the Josh Heupel Bowl. We will have a prediction on that for you, I believe, on Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. But the Sooners down 6 spots to number 19. They've dug themselves a hole. 2 losses now. No more room for error. Let's see what Brent Venables' squad can do. Rounding out the top 20, Michigan up 3 spots following their win over Michigan State, 31-20. Still in the mix. Still in the mix. That Ohio State game will loom large if Michigan can find a way to win out up until that point. So hopefully they do, for just college football's sake. It's always better when the game has some major stakes, whether it's conference standings, whether it's playoffs. So watch out for Michigan. Kind of an up and down team. Going to be even better, I think, next year with another year under Bryce Underwood's belt. But this Wolverines up to number 20. Rounding out our top 25. 3 new teams joined the mix. So the teams that dropped out were USF, LSU, and Arizona State, all ranked between 19 and 22nd for us. Missouri down 5 spots following the win over Vanderbilt. They nearly lost to Auburn. Got fortunate enough to win that game. Now they lose to Vanderbilt. We dropped them out of the top 20. Still a talented team, but also watch out for the Tigers too. Losing Bo Pribula to injury is really, really bad. They've got some tough games coming up. So what was a really great start to the season for Missouri, what looked like it could be a special year for Missouri, might turn for the worse and have their record look a lot worse than it really should be because of the injury to their top 2 quarterbacks and a tough back half of the schedule. So the Tigers are interesting, but down to number 21. Utah's obliteration of Colorado was amazing to watch. They beat Colorado 53-7. 53-7 late Saturday night. We're up, 43-0 at halftime. So they took their foot off the gas in the second half. But the Utes outgained Colorado 587 yards to 140. They are the real deal. And that game against Cincinnati going to be really, really interesting. The Utes not out of the Big 12 title race yet. Going to need some help, but they've got to win out. Starts with Cincinnati. Other teams will lose ahead of them. Don't count out Kyle Whittingham's squad. USC back in the rankings. We had them as the first team out last week. They had a bye week. They jumped back in because of the teams that lost ahead of them. Texas looks horrible, but I'm not dropping them out of the top 25. They were fortunate enough to beat Mississippi State on the road in overtime, trailed by 17 points with 10 minutes left. Somehow found a way to win 45-38, again, in overtime. The Longhorns aren't going to go anywhere. The schedule's just too tough the rest of the way. They still got to go on the road to Georgia. They'll probably lose that game, and that will end their playoff hopes. They're fortunate to be where they are. Remain at number 24, but this is not a team that I envision making the playoffs. And if by somehow they do, they'll be a first-round exit. And then rounding out our top 25, Memphis is back in the fold. USF, you choked it away. If you're a USF fan, you should be disgusted because you choked it away. You had the resume, you had everything in front of you, and what did you do? You blew a 14-point fourth quarter lead, I don't think Memphis is that great, maybe they are, but you allowed Memphis to score 17 unanswered points and win 34-31 at the Liberty Bowl, and now the Tigers are the front runner to make the college football playoff as the highest ranked group of 5 champion. Look, the American Athletic Conference is going to be tough. USF's still good, but 2 losses now, not good. Memphis is in the mix, sure. Tulane's in the mix, sure. Navy is undefeated and could be in the mix. So the group of 5 representative is coming out of the American Conference. And that's why you need to watch that conference with pay really close attention to it. I'm not fully sold that it's going to be Memphis. They've still got flaws. They're a good, decent team, I guess. They've got flaws. Could UCF find their way back in there? I don't know if they can. But USF, Navy, Tulane, North Texas even. I mean, this is a wild conference. Memphis is the one that's ranked right now, but I'm not saying they're the one that's going to end up as the playoff team. Lot of room for change over the next couple of weeks, but the Tigers do bounce back in following their win over USF. One week lose UAB, next week beat USF. Makes sense. It's the beauty of college football. Anything can happen on any given Saturday. Short-term memory, too. That goes a long way. So there you go, guys. Week 10, GE Top 25. Lots of changes. 3 teams out, 3 new teams in. A few changes in our top 10. It's going to be a fun final month of the season. Final regular season. Lot of chaos coming our way. And as we've said before, that's what we live for. That's the beauty of college football. We live for chaos. We embrace the chaos. We want the chaos. And we're going to get it. We're absolutely going to get it. Week 10 is coming up. Kicks off, Tuesday night? Tuesday through Saturday. Lots of big games coming our way, and we'll have you covered every step of the way. Predictions start tomorrow right here on the channel. Do not miss out. Don't miss out on everything down in the description either over on thegridironexpert.com. All of our exclusive expert picks over there. Again, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best picks in the entire country. Fresh off another big winning week in college football. If you want to win big with us, that is the place for you. Check it out. The link down below. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.